Hey there. Welcome to Tabletop Finds, brought to you by the Tabletop Travel Guide. I'm Tyler.
I'm Sam.
I'm Ryan.
And today we are going to be talking about talismans.
Talismans.
So, talismans are consumables that you affix to a weapon or armor. Some, I think, affix to the clothing as well. They kind of affix to all kinds of different things, but...
You have to attach them somewhere.
Yep. And then they have a trigger condition. And then when that trigger condition goes off, then stuff happens. So...
That definition is incorrect.
What?
It's completely incorrect. Talismans are things as a GM you give to your players and they forget about. They're included on the loot table. You give them to your players. They all go, great, I definitely want that. And then none of them ever use them.
I've used them before.
Occasionally.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
it's
fair.
usually at like lower level though, until you get a more permanent item that does the same thing.
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
that's the challenge is it's a one time. So like
I feel like it's weird. Like looking through the talismans, there was one I was looking for because I have one player that uses one specific one a lot,
Sure.
and continues to buy it. But yeah, other than that, no one ever uses them.
Yeah.
But I think like everything else, it's just easy to it's easy to forget loot. So we wanted to do talismans because they're a great way, like Ryan said, to give players the ability to do cool things without like giving them an overpowered item, since
Yeah.
they're like one use.
Well,
Or-
it's helpful if you have like a really like if you're going into an adventure situation where you're gonna need some random thing that you wouldn't
Mhm.
normally need.
Yeah. Obviously, we know Ryan's feeling. Sam, have you used a lot of talismans?
Well, so like again, I feel like I'm better at it at like lower level when it's like I don't have as many items and
Mhm.
it's like I'll remember it.
Yeah.
I think the problem is like once you get up into higher levels and you're like, cool, I have my boots, I have my cape, I have my 3 wands, and my like there's like too many things to keep track of, and then I forget about like the one-time use talismans because you're not using them every
Mhm.
single time.
Like, oh, wait, I have a +1 to sneak talisman? Like,
For 10 minutes, but then I don't. So I think that's where it gets harder once you have like too many things. So I think they're easier for me or at lower level when I don't have as many items to keep track of.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Nice.
maybe I just need a better chart. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, everyone can be better at organizing items that you get.
I forget whose character sheet was like really well laid. Maybe it would have been Charles. It's probably Charles.
Oh, yeah.
He had like all of his individual actions like laid out in larger blocks of like,
Yeah.
oh, here's my menu versus like
Mhm.
flipping through the character sheet.
Well, and I feel like even, you download you can download actions and print from like Path Builder and stuff,
Yeah.
but even then it's still pages and you're like, what can I do?
Well, I did that for like my Magus character. I wrote down like, here are the 3 things that you're most likely going to need to do. Because for that character, it was you needed to do a spell before you could cascade, before you could do this.
Yep.
So for that one, I had like 3 things written out like, okay, so you're going to need to do this, 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 and this. But those were like kind of the built-in things. And I didn't necessarily then write a bunch of extra things for like,
Mhm.
if you have this item, do this or this
Yeah,
item. Because
Right,
that's
right.
then too much variability. But I did find that was a really helpful cheat sheet
Mhm.
because then I didn't have to flip through a bunch of things. I knew which bonuses once I did something. And then it helped me remember like, oh yeah, you have to activate your boots. So you get 10 extra
Yep.
speed and da-da-da-da-da. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So we've each brought 2 talismans
Yep.
to talk through.
Yep.
And like always, we narrowed the focus to talismans, but beyond that, we didn't provide any criteria or anything. So yeah, let's dive in. Who wants to go first?
Wanna go for it, Sam?
Okay, cool. I grabbed 3 just in case you guys end up choosing one that I chose. So
I don't
again,
know. The talisman list is really big.
Yeah.
I know, but we're weird, and I feel like we'd think the same things were cool. So
That's fair.
that was my problem. All right, so my first talisman is the Snap Leaf. It is a level 3
Okay.
item.
Okay.
Cost 9 gold.
Not
So-
bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
The trigger for this is you begin to fall.
Oh.
Okay.
You activate it, and you gain the benefits of Featherfall and a 2nd level invisibility spell for 1 minute or until you stop
Oh,
falling, whichever
nice.
comes first.
Huh.
And I just thought that was like a fun flavor
Yeah.
thing. And I'm not entirely sure like how I would use that, but I imagine like, I don't know, I'm breaking in somewhere and I like fall off a parapet, but now I'm invisible. And then I might hit the ground, but like you don't know where I went, and so then I can like sneak back in or
Yeah,
something.
it's a second chance.
It's 100% the somebody runs up to the rooftop just to see somebody on the edge, and then they jump off and they run up, look over, and there's no one there. You're like,
It's a giant trick.
the scene from the 12 different movies.
yeah,
yes.
every movie where you looked at it, you're like, where are they? But instead, it's just Sam's character floating down with invisible.
It would only be better if it also came with like a flock of birds that were released to like cause movement somewhere else.
We need something for our wedding. Hey, man. Yeah.
Surely there's a wand of summon bird.
I do think it's cool that, like, I feel like a lot of talismans do something like a spell and then something else too, which is kind of cool. So it's not just like, oh, it's not just cast Featherfall, but it's like cast Featherfall and do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the flavor of having two things
Yeah.
in this very strange scenario.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. That was level 3, you said?
Yep, level 3, 9 gold. It's common. So
Cool. Okay. Ryan, you want to go?
Yeah. So I'll go down one level. I picked the Onyx Panther,
Ooh.
a level 2, 7 gold, fixed to armor. Takes 1 action to activate. When you pick up the pebble and activate it, you get +1 on your sneak, but also you get to move at full speed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a huge bonus, but I liked the idea that like I almost would take this for the move speed while sneaking versus the +1 to sneak. You got to get somewhere fast.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of talismans that are good, like kind of that exploration outside of combat type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, yeah. Chill and simple.
Yeah. A good. If you're a ranger, if you're a rogue, like that seems like a really obvious one. Pick it up, put it on your armor.
Yeah.
Little bonus to sneak and move.
Nice. Well, that was quick. So my first one, I jumped up several levels, and this is level 6. So this is the Peachwood Talisman.
Peachwood.
Yes, so you affix it to armor. Its requirements are you are an expert in perception, and then it activates with 1 action. So symbols of good fortune and luck are carved on this thin square wooden plaque. It smells of sandalwood from the blessings placed upon it, and when you activate it for the next minute, you can sense attacks from undead. You aren't flat-footed to hidden, undetected, or flanking undead of your level or lower, or undead of your level or lower using surprise attack. However, they can still help their allies flank. So, like, I kind of thought of this because, like, Sam's campaign, we had, like, Peachwood swords at one point that are good against undead. But I thought it was pretty cool to have, like, if you're in an undead-focused campaign or, like, you're about to fight, like, a ghost or something.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I need to... You can just like pop this as an action, and then for the next minute, like an invisible ghost can't just come up and like be like, surprise.
Ghost is gonna throw a book at you.
Yeah. We had a ghost throw a book at one of our players in Ryan's high level campaign, and it was far and away the highest damage attack.
It was like
of
it critted like this. One of these single highest individual damaging attacks we had.
we've ever had in a campaign was from a book smacking
like
him in the face.
120 damage or something from a single book toss.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, just like anything else, I feel like talismans these are good for like, you know, you're not going to prepare this one every day unless you live in an undead wasteland like the Gravelands.
Sure.
But it might be like, it's kind of good something you research and then you affix for that.
Even then, if you were in the Gravelands, I don't think you'd want to affix it every day.
Mm-hmm.
It'd break all the time.
That's true. I mean, you can choose when to do it, but yeah. So yeah, Peachwood Talisman. Do you know, can you only have 1 talisman affixed at a time to 1 armor and 1 weapon?
Per piece, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can't like do helmet, pants. No.
I mean, if a player was like, I have this thing I really wanted on my helmet, I don't know that I would say no. A lot of them are so niche anyway.
Yeah.
But I think rules as written, it should be 1 for armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe, if you were feeling generous, like if it's a +2 armor, like, oh, okay, I'll let you have a second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Definitely would not be like my left boot has
Right.
this talisman and my right boot.
and then my belt, and then my breastplate, and then my shoulder thingies. What are those called?
The
Again?
Pauldrons.
That's it. I was like, couldn't think of the word.
Man, I'll have to look back because I think I looked at one point, I looked up like Talisman Dabbler, which is an archetype.
yeah.
Mhm.
But at the time, it was like when talismans, or it was soon
There
after.
were like 12 talismans.
Yeah, and you're like, well, this seems dumb. But they kind of get like it's kind of like that alchemist thing where they get a certain amount of talismans per day or
Yeah.
something, or they can affix for actions. So that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Peachwood talisman.
Is there a belt that you can attach multiple talismans to?
Oh, you know what? There might be.
I feel like that sounds familiar now, and I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Probably.
Surely there's something somewhere.
Yes.
All right. So for my second talisman, I jumped up to level 7,
Nice.
and I have
Okay.
the emergency eye.
Emergency eye.
So you activate it with a command, but the trigger would be you become blinded or an effect otherwise impedes your vision. You do have to be an expert in perception to use it. So then you would have your eye, which is harvested from a monster that looks like it's sleeping, but it gives you a backup when you can't use yours. So when it's activated, the little eyelid pops open and the eye looks around, and you can see through this eye with normal vision until the end of your next turn, and then the eye just kind of withers and goes away.
For what's this one called again? I'm gonna write this down for every time your stupid character
No!
Eclipse bursts me and blinds me.
I can't recall what it's called anymore. It's called Emergency Eye. It is item
I as a
level
GM
7.
need that.
It costs 60 gold.
Yeah, we can swing it.
It comes from the treasure vault.
So mechanically, it is an eye that you have harvested from.
I don't know that
Another
necessarily
creature.
you have harvested.
Yeah,
but
Somebody
has harvested from a
somebody has
monster.
harvested and
Sure.
enchanted it.
Sure. Okay. And then it's armor.
You affix it to your armor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this could be
you-
one of those weird things you pop on your helmet, or I guess
Yeah.
you have like an eye just like chilling in the middle of your chest plate.
You have
I
an eye
don't
patch
know.
with it on.
An eye patch. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm getting Naruto vibes.
Well, again, I feel like so many talismans should be good rewards for planning. Like,
Yes. Yes.
Like if you're able to figure out, and this could be something that maybe GMs would have to do a little bit more work, but if they if you know as a GM, like they're about to fight some, I don't know, whatever blind you're about to fight a magus who keeps using Eclipse Burst on you with the potential for blinding.
yeah.
You might be like, okay, if they do some research a little bit ahead of time, then they might find part of the information they find is like there are talismans such as X that can help in these situations.
Right.
Which would kind of be just a cool way to give people items without.
I would also I would probably allow players to use it too if somebody just casts like magical darkness, because
Mhm.
that's an effect that impedes your
Mhm.
vision. So you can kind of broaden it out, not necessarily just that you are blinded, but if you are in darkness, that's a magical effect.
Someone hit you with the pocket sand.
Right? There you go.
You're going to bed at night and somebody blows out the candle and your eye pops up and you're like, dang it.
No, I used it.
I didn't mean that.
Yeah. Definitely, again, situational, but could be really, really helpful. Really, really
Mhm.
useful.
Nice. And then the thing was talisman cord.
Oh,
That you were
that's what it
talking
is.
about.
Okay.
So it's a thin leather cord that bears delicate runic markings and threads through an item that can bear an affixed talisman. When you affix a talisman to that item, you can thread the talisman onto that cord, activating the cord's preserving effects. The cord is attuned to a particular school of magic. Basically, when you activate a talisman, you roll a DC 16 flat check, and on a success, it's not consumed.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
Yeah, and then the interesting thing is you have higher levels that can hold higher level talismans. Oh yeah, it's just higher level stuff.
Sure.
Is that a Pathfinder item?
Pathfinder Society item?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're missing the
Nope,
important
that's from
word.
GURPS.
I'm like, yes. It is not
Sorry,
Dungeons and Dragons.
Pathfinder Society
Yes,
item is
it
what I
is.
meant.
Yeah. So technically it's uncommon and you can access it by members of the Pathfinder Society. But kind of cool way to possibly preserve your
hmm
consumables.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
If you're going to use them a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay. So this one, the effect, I don't think is that terribly interesting, but I do want to talk about the effect because I read it and I'm usually pretty good at interpreting these. And I maybe it's the sleep deprivation. I don't know.
This has been this will be Figure out the effect with Ryan.
Yes. So it's the Iron Equalizer,
Okay.
level 12, 400 gold, affixed to a weapon. You have to be a master with that weapon. The small iron band is a shifting weight that helps equalize the affixed weapon's balance. When you activate it, you use certain strike as a fighter feat. And then certain strike says, if you attack but don't hit squarely, you can still score a glancing blow. If you miss, you gain the failure effect. Your attack deals any damage it would have dealt on a hit, excluding all damage dice.
What?
So just your static?
Or your plus? Like, so your strength bonus?
Yes.
Essentially?
It would be just your strength bonus or...
like your precision bonus if you're a ranger. Or
yeah, I wonder because any damage... Does
dice.
it say your weapon?
It says your attack deals any damage it would have dealt on a hit, excluding all damage dice.
Okay, yeah. So, like, if you think of a weapon that has, like, a striking rune, so you have 2d8 for a bastard sword or something.
Yeah, so you wouldn't get any. You wouldn't get the 2d8.
that, but you get the +4. Then maybe if you had a property rune on it, you might get that. But I'm not sure. That might count as weapon dice.
I was going to say most property runes also roll a die.
Yeah, but like, yeah.
So
anyway, it's kind of like, I mean, there's like a rogue feat that kind of lets you do partial precision damage as well. So I think it's just kind of that, like, you can still hit some of it.
It just feels like it's very high. Level 12 is a lot to only push through like 8 static damage.
Yeah.
Which I guess you're just guaranteeing you get some kind of chip.
Well,
there's no negative to it.
Well, and so it's a net benefit, right? So it's one action.
Yeah,
and
you would have gotten nothing, and you got something.
Yeah, so and certain strike has the press trait, so that means you can use it on your second and third attacks. You can only use it on your second and third when you're more likely to miss.
Oh, now that makes a lot more sense. Okay, there's your use case. You're probably not going to hit anyway. Guarantee chip damage.
Yep. Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay. See, I didn't know what the press trait was.
Look at those Look at those feats, or look at those traits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that helps too. Like if you have any other feats or anything that build off of, you just needed to do damage. Like not necessarily a lot of damage, but like if you've done damage this round,
then this also happens.
Yeah.
Think about for a barbarian too, like that you'd get static barbarian rage damage, and so you normally don't have access to that feat. But if you can use it as a talisman as a barbarian, then you have like a static 8 damage or whatever at level.
Yeah, I guess you also like for injury poisons, like you said, Sam. Because injury poison, you have to do 1 damage, and then the poison attacks occurs. So you're guaranteeing
something. Yeah,
a save against the poison at that point.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that seems more valuable then.
Yeah. Nice. And I like the fact that it gives you access to abilities that you may not normally have. Like obviously, if you're not a fighter, you don't have access to certain strikes. So it kind of gives you that ability to kind of slide in there.
And from a GM perspective, I like the idea that it just basically is, you can make a talisman that gives a one-time use of any other ability from a class.
Yeah,
and that's a
pretty
thing
cool.
you could write up.
Yeah. So my second one, speaking of giving you abilities from other classes, is level 14. It is called Viper's Fang. You affix it to a weapon, and the trigger is a creature within your reach makes a manipulate or move action, makes a ranged attack, or leaves a square during a moving action it's using. What does that sound like?
Attack of opportunity?
Yes. Or reactive strike.
Sure. Yes.
So we don't get sued. No. So yeah, basically what it does is then it's a reaction, and it lets you make a strike against that creature. The cool thing is if you already have reactive strike as a fighter, it lets you do it as a free action.
Oh, I like that.
So like
That's cool.
if you don't have a reactive strike, you can use one. If you do have a reactive strike, you don't need to use a reaction for it.
That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. And like normal attacks or reactive strikes, if your attack's a critical hit, then you can disrupt the action, and it doesn't count, everything else that's similar to reactive strikes.
That's like your warden build or your tank, your champion build.
Yeah.
Standing in front of all the enemies.
Oh, the other thing that this does, kind of like that, again, little +1, is if you hit with the attack, the creature is exposed to Viper Fang Venom, which is deals poison damage and enfeebles you as you fail it. So
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the one where I have a monk in my Fist of the Ruby Phoenix campaign
Oh,
Greg
he
plays,
uses this
and
all the time.
he uses this a lot. I mean, it's like 850 gold for a talisman, but they're also level 19 or 18, so like
Chump change.
Yeah.
not a lot. And he uses it when it matters. So it's like, oh, I want to use a reaction, so I'm going to burn this.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Yeah, like he doesn't have a reactive strike normally, so it's kind of a nice way to be like, I'm gonna.
I need it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this guy out.
Okay.
So yeah, well, Sam, do you want to do your third?
No, I already X'd out of the window because you guys let me go first, and I said both of mine.
That's fair. I'm gonna say, well, so.
And that was the one I didn't understand as much, but it just sounded cool, so it's fine.
Talisman of Cool.
Well, now I'm curious.
How do I get my tab back?
Control Shift T.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked.
Technology.
I guess if I could only ever remember keyboard shortcuts. This one is an uncommon one.
Okay.
It's called Dupes Gold Nugget.
And you wanted to skip this one?
I know.
Dupe.
Dupes.
It's an item level 5. It comes from the Outlaws of Alkenstar Adventure Path.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I looked at this one. Yes.
Oh, you did?
See,
I know.
you're right.
I
Yeah.
was like, well, we're going to overlap. It's 30 gold. You affix it to a ranged weapon. So you have to hit with a ranged strike. The nugget of gold attaches to the weapon, and when activated, so if it's whatever, let's say I have a crossbow, I've attached it to my crossbow, I fire my arrow. When my arrow hits the target's limbs become like lead weights.
Oh, that's
for
cool.
Yeah.
2 rounds. Each time the target strides, it must do a fortitude save, and on a failure, they take a negative 10-foot status penalty to speed for that stride, and then if they like have a critical success, it goes away in the effects end. But I
Nice.
thought that was like a fun ranged thing. Like, so if I've got like my, person out back, like firing ahead,
Yep.
and then that slows them down for the melee people. So,
Well, or if you're like trying to run away from somebody.
oh yeah,
and
that's
it's like
helpful too.
somebody's laying suppressive fire, literally. Like,
Mhm.
Oh, I thought the opposite direction. You're like actively hunting somebody. 'Cause I
Ooh.
was thinking
Ooh.
Alkenstar. I always think out west,
Yeah.
and I thought of like a scene where you're all on top of a train chasing someone on top of the
Ooh.
train, and you're like,
Ooh.
"Oh, slow down!" and you hit them with the slow.
oh, that's pretty cool.
That'd be good too.
Yeah. Nice. Do that, have a mage that's casting actual slow, and you're just kind of like
Yeah.
making somebody's day real rough. Nice.
Yeah. No, don't skip that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that
Duke's
one was a
Gold
fun one.
Nugget.
Dude.
I just really liked the name.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, I think if you haven't looked into talismans, either as a GM or player, look into them. There's a lot more cool stuff that I think you'll find useful, and maybe you can ask your GM to pepper some in for you.
Yeah.
So, with that, this has been Tabletop Finds Talismans. Until next time, safe travels.